Okay, so on today's rapid response recording, I'm going to show you the process I go through for creating a .gitignore file. After you go through the process of creating a gitignore file, you'll just become more comfortable with how to specify the specific things that you do and don't want in your Git repo. But for now, it's good to know how to do the trial and error process of excluding things from Git. So you notice that I have a Android project here, and just to show you that it is a real Android project, it's a very basic Android project. I'll go ahead and run it. Yep, just the simple hello world thing with the simple floating action button, or fab. Nothing special. I haven't added any code to it. So I'm going to stop this. Now you'll notice that we have all the project artifacts that we've discussed in class, so things like Gradle.properties and the IML files, and we've got a .idea and a .gradle folder, right? So we want to get rid of those things. So how I'm going to do this is I'm here in my Git repo, and I have created a folder in here for the homework. So similar to how you all should be setting up your Git repos, where you've got the top level repo folder, if you will, and then as an immediate child, or as immediate contents of that top level repo folder, you should have a folder for each one of your homeworks, right? So now I'm going to run git status, and you're going to notice that Git is going to tell me that there's untracked files. What does that mean? It means that there are files inside of this folder that Git knows that it can pay attention to, that we haven't explicitly said to ignore, but they haven't yet actually been added to Git. All right. So this doesn't really tell us a whole lot, because it just says like, oh, all of homework demo folder is something that we can track. Well, we don't want everything in homework demo. So we're going to add a couple of files that we know that we do want to keep, and you'll notice that Git will then discover the files around it that are potentially trackable. So let's do git add homework demo and then build.gradle, because we know that we want to keep the project's build.gradle file. Now when I run git.status, hey, a bit more stuff is added. So Git now has recognized all these things as things that it might want to track. Well, we don't want it to track this. We don't want to track this, and we don't want it to track this. We also don't want it to track this or this, right? So we're going to add one more file that we know that we want to track. So we give Git status the biggest picture of our project that we can. So git add homework demo app source main. We're just going to add that old folder, because pretty much everything under main we want to keep. Right? Now when we run git status, Git's found a whole bunch of other files that we want to keep. Right? So everything under main you basically want to keep, because it's going to include your manifest, your Java files, all of your resources, right? And then there's our build.gradle file. And then finally, let's also do git add homework demo app, app, and then build.gradle, because we also want to keep that. And then one last time, we'll run status. There we go. Yeah. So it doesn't hurt to add files individually. You can add them individually one at a time. That is time consuming, but if you want to be absolutely certain that all the files that you have are exactly what you need to turn in, that is one strategy. But right now what we're going to do is we're going to create a gitignore file for the repo that will ignore the types of files that we don't want to keep. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a .gitignore file. I'm then going to add entries to it. And then I'm going to run git status each time I add new entries to the gitignore, and check to make sure that those files I want to exclude are removed from this untracked files list that Git generates for me. So first I'm going to create a gitignore file. I use the touch command, which in Unix systems creates a new file. All it does is create an empty file. And then I'm going to open this gitignore. Reload, yes. All right. So let's think. Some of the stuff that we know we want to exclude is, we'll call this, so this is a comment, files we know we want to exclude all the time. We know that we don't want any YML files, just don't want them, right? Don't want any of those. We don't want any local.properties files. Don't want any of those. We don't want gradle.properties files, right? So we're going to go ahead and save this. Now let's see what happens when we run. So in our previous run, you'll see we have YML files showing up here. We have local properties. We have Gradle properties. Let's see what happens when we run git status now. Hey, all that stuff's gone away, right? No more YML files, no property files, no local.properties files or Gradle.properties files. That's great. We're doing good here. So now let's see. We also know that we don't want any of these .idea folders to show up. So let's see if we can do that. .idea, save that. Let's run it again. And awesome. .idea gone. All right. So next, let's do .gradle. Save that. Run git status again. Ooh. Awesome. More stuff is going away. This is great. So now the things that you've noticed that Git is still tracking. So the .gitignores, yeah, we want Git to track .gitignore. The test folders, the ProGuard rules, because those are referenced by our build files, we want to keep those. But everything else here, yeah, that's pretty good. We actually want to keep that stuff. So let's go ahead and git add all, and then run git status again. And we see, okay, this is all stuff that we want to keep. Get in the habit of checking what you're about to commit before you commit it. Make sure that's all good stuff. Yep. So then create your commit. Git commit m, my first commit. And there you go. My status is clean. And anytime I go to add new files to this, or I create new apps in this repo, all of those folders, all of these things that I just added should be automatically excluded from Git. So, of course, you are welcome to ask me questions. If you run into problems with this, let me know. Expect that you're going to have to update your .gitignore file over time. That's why every time you create a commit, just be really, really careful about what you're including. That's probably a best practice you should keep in your mind for all of your classes moving forward where you're using Git. Pay attention to what's in your commits. Yeah, I hope this helps you, and I'll see you in class.